DHT. There I am, sitting, waiting for the bus to come and pick me up and take me home from work. You see, I work at this front for this closed down gas station out in the middle of Utah somewhere. But there's really something else, let me tell you about the creatures that I see down there. They would have you jump out of your own skin, believe me, I have seen it with my very own eyes. How do you think they made Hellraiser? But that's beside the point. These things are 7 feet tall, lizard-like. Be sure not to stop by any gas stations and see them empty out here in Utah. You might become lizard lunch. But luckily for me, I was able to stay and feed them their food. I was one of their ones who was the food preparers. And I can't tell you what really in there, but it was some pretty nasty things. Some days I even have to put on a mask because the smell is so bad I would just sit there and serve them and never look at them directly in their face, because if I did, they would try to screw with me in my mind because of their different abilities. Now, I was the tough individual. I was chosen for the job because of my mental strength. The Exotic Operations LLC, my employer, realized that the lizards would have mere effect on me because I was too headstrong. I own a great deal of this inner strength to the many years of meditation. It would be very hard for me to play their mind games with someone like me who was able to train my mind for almost a decade. My employers at Exotic Operations LLC went ahead and put me through the ringer. They had all kinds of tests. These tests were physical endurance, and they had me also conduct assessments as well. It was like Hell Week in the military, maybe a little harder than that. I wondered why they were doing this when I signed up for the role of the job. The posted, I responded to read Operations Assistant. I was just looking for the job. I had no idea I wanted to do with my life, and I didn't really finish college. I was looking for a way to pay the bills and get my life in order. I did like anyone else would do, and looked on goodjobhunter.com to find opportunities. This was one of the jobs that was promoted at the top of the page listings. I thought that if they were willing to pay more to move their ad up to the top, then it must be a great company. Little did I know I was getting myself into to respond to the job, to the opportunity. I remembered what I was doing, pushing, running many miles, and intensive activities. As part of my screening process to be operation assistance, I wondered if this was an operating assistance to go through, then what kind of tests do they do operation managers? My training process was very cruel. A large portion of it was physical and physiological training, and then it finally started on me other activities. Then they started me to do the job itself. This is how I became to be particular with the job. This is how I found myself at 7:07 p.m. on a cold night in October, feeding these things until they were like any animals many I had seen before. The hardest part of my job was these living things that would come and screw with my Zen mind. Somehow they managed to talk me through therapy. They always extract food, but I cannot give them anything else, or else I would get disciplined for it. This discipline was harsh. I would be demanded and would get thrown down to be lower levels of this place. I'm only on level 4 of 10. You don't want me to talk about what goes down on the basement level. It's even worse, experiments and whatnot. It's not conjoined things I cannot even think of. It's like half of this, half of that. I don't know what is even crazier. If I've ever been down to basement 1, these things are just some of these things that I've heard. How do you think that New York has some of these strange animals that wash up on shore over there? They shift them over once they have enough experiments done to them. How do you explain the half bird dog a few years ago in the national park? The lame mainstream media never covers these stories because you have to focus on some of the other nonsense that doesn't matter at all. How do you think that the Bigfoot out there in northeast coast of the United States? I mean, come on, that's how we get some of the great cryptids of the USA. It all started up here. I have to get out of here. I can't stay stuck here too long. If I don't leave, I'll be here forever. That's why I'm quitting my job soon. I'm going to have to run away from here and head somewhere else. I don't want to pull a Snowden, but that's what looks like. Don't have any other options. I cannot say where I'm going to plan or what's going to be for me. Well, maybe it's a huge trouble. Let's just say that I'll be very happy where I am. I can say that I may be when I leave I can settle down and not have to look behind my back and I'm going to have to keep looking behind my back, but at least I'm not going to be trapped in a place where I have to continue to do things I have to do. I will not have to hear screeches of things that when I have to zap them with my K1 Special Operations device, those screeches, they continue to haunt me. I'm going to go to the first level because I know there will be only one guard on watch at the controls. I will go ahead and do a little mind trick on him and make him leave his post area. I'll tell him that there's something special type of food that someone left over, so he will not blink an eye. He will immediately leave his post. It is food. It's always come down to the food, right? So as we walk down, I act like I was going right behind him. Then I quickly grab his gun and lock him out and wait till the next door bay closes of the complex. And then I went to the control cameras and took a look at the screens and saw all the monsters sitting there in their cages waiting to be fed. They were drooling on sight, seen shivering down their spines. I went ahead and pressed the button to drop their food down to them. One had run out and started getting to the other one's food. What the other one followed was groan and unspeakable, not even think about what happened, repeating it here. But out of nowhere, I see another guard come into the room. I don't know where he came from. I act calm, and I don't know what. He seems like something is off. He approaches me slowly. I start to smile. Then he reaches for his pocket. I think he's reaching for his gun, and then I pump him full of bullets. I quickly run back to the controls and activate a sequence to make the facility lock down in 10 minutes. I run out of the facility to hear a pop. Before I can turn around, everything starts to go dark. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe.